I've always been excited for Sony's products, their consoles, their handhelds, their accessories, whatever they were doing. I was always excited for them. But now things have changed. I mean, they really haven't changed. Just my perspective on supporting Sony may have changed a bit. I think negatively and positively about all these different game companies out there, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. It is what it is. But today I got to talk about Sony and their PSVR2, which we've talked about in the past. I reviewed it right when it came out. I was really intrigued by, VR. I've got the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest, whatever the hell they're calling those things these days. And I had the first PSVR back when that came out. And it's fascinating stuff. VR is really cool, but it's not going to be for everyone. And I always heard or have heard for a while now with the PSVR2 that, oh, it's such a hard buy-in, $500, $600. I think I spent like 600. I got the Horizon Call the Mountain bundle. But I've heard people like, this doesn't make sense. It's so expensive and you got to buy a PS5 hardware as well. It's a tough sell. I get it, but all VR headsets other than, standalone units like the Meta Quest, you got to have hardware for it, so it is what it is. If you have a PS5 and you're interested in VR, the PSVR2 would have been a cool option. But like typical Sony fashion, these asshats just don't support their hardware. And it used to be like their little one-off things. They would put out something new, PlayStation Move, whatever seemed popular to jump on, and other people may set the trends, and then Sony would kind of come in and do their thing with certain types of devices and products, and they just wouldn't support it. It's like, why do you guys put crap out and then you don't support it? The PlayStation Vita, the PS Vita, awesome freaking hardware, but Sony gave up on it. Like there was other mistakes with their handhelds, the proprietary memory and stuff like that, but to just give up on what you're doing and not support the hardware is beyond stupid. Like, why wouldn't you support the hardware? You're expecting just third parties, and that's PS Vita, heavily supported by plenty of third parties. But then at the end of the day, it became a thing where it was like just tons of different Japanese RPGs were being, put out on it. Sure, there's lots of other things, but that's all I started seeing. And while I do have interest in some of those games, that's not all I want on, a piece of hardware, right? And with the PSVR2, these fuck nuggets, like they put it out a year ago. Where are their games for it? Just let the third parties deal with it, right? Like they're not putting anything out on it. And that starts to frustrate me because I look at console gaming, handheld gaming, accessories that are made for these systems as pointless if there are no exclusives for that setup, for that console. What else is there a reason for these things to exist? Sure, the simplicity of like, hey, I don't have to have a PC and worry about drivers and the operating system and stuff like that. That's a very valid point, and that's one that I'd stuck by for the longest time. But when we're seeing these systems come out and there's no exclusives for them or very little, what the hell is PlayStation doing? What's exclusive to the PlayStation? There has been nothing first party for me personally. It's going to be different for everybody else. Don't get your titties twisted here. I don't like The Last of Us. I don't like Spider-Man. That's all it seems that this freaking system has going for it. Okay, yeah, God of War. I like the old God of Wars. Like everything that they put out recently, just not the same. It's okay, but there's a handful of stuff that they put out, but not like before. Where the frick is Twisted Metal? They could come back out with SOCOM, MAG, Resistance, Fall of Man, Killzone, but no, because they're in over their heads. All these companies closing down studios, whatever the case may be. Where the frick are the damn PlayStation exclusives at? And that's where it's starting to get frustrating for me. And I already know there's going to be people like thinking that I'm anti-PlayStation. I own two PS5s. I have two PS5s. I'm not anti-PS5. I've bought into the ecosystem since day one, and it's just led to this where I'm like, what is the point of Sony anymore? Like I most of the time, like the games that I'm playing on the PS5, they may be like a timed exclusive. They're not first party like I was gonna say Squaresoft, Square Enix, games, stuff like that, where they're on the system. Maybe Sony made a deal with them, gave them some money to, have that timed exclusive period or whatever before it goes to PC or Xbox. But it's like, okay, but where's your games at, Sony? You guys aren't putting any effort into anything, and it's no wonder the PSVR2 is like floundering. Nobody's buying this damn thing. This article on Ars Technica, they're referencing Bloomberg. They have a report where they're saying that Sony stopped producing the PSVR2s. No crap. Like, doesn't surprise me. This does not come to a shock to me. If you've produced well over 2 million units and ain't nobody buying this damn thing because you're not making games for it. You're not making stuff to get people excited for it. Just, third parties trickling in some games here and there. Very few and far in between, releases, nothing that really gets hyped. I don't ever hear about PSVR2 games. It's no surprise. Well over 2 million produced, but the estimates are at 1.69 that have shipped, million units shipped to retailers, not necessarily sold, because you remember at first it was just through Sony that you could buy this thing, and people weren't really buying them, I guess. And then it went to retailers where you could buy GameStop, Best Buy, stuff like that, right? So they have tons of devices sitting around that people aren't going to buy. How are they going to fix this situation? I've seen people say, oh, they're going to need to drop the price. I think that's a given. Dropping the price will definitely push some units, but will it push enough units to where they can jump back into producing them? I have my doubts. Like I said, it's about the damn games. If Sony isn't producing games for this thing, if they're not doing, a Final Fantasy with this thing, paying a third-party developer to put out some awesome shit for it, if they're not putting any effort into this, which doesn't seem like they are. They made an awesome piece of hardware. PSVR 2 is amazing. The quality of the screens and everything, the controllers, I dig it. But what do I play on it? No Man's Sky, Gran Turismo, and that's it. And that's it. And it's collecting dust. When they eventually put out when they eventually put out whatever update to allow you to use this on a PC, that may change the game a little bit, but it's still not going to sell units. It's going to have to be a combination. Have it work on PC, drop the price, and actually put out games for this damn thing. So that's my little rant for the day. I'm just kind of like, current generation gaming, PlayStation and Xbox just annoys me, man. Like, I don't see any reason for these devices as much as I used to. To play Final Fantasy, I don't know. Like, I'm at a loss here, man. Like, there's only one company that puts stuff out that I consistently want to play, and that's Nintendo, unfortunately. I'm not a Nintendo, like, crazy fan. I'm definitely a fan. I was a fan of Sony, and I still am, but I want to see them succeed and turn this around, but I just think it's kind of over with them. They're just going to keep remastering The Last of Us. PS6 is going to come out. They're going to have Last of Us remaster, freaking shit like that. Like, I'm disappointed, man. Disappointed. I own 2 of these bitches. What the hell's wrong with me? Appreciate you guys. Bye. Don't take it too serious.